Let's just face it, retro gaming wasn't as rose-tinted as we all remember.
Remember kids, if you're under 18, ask your parents before calling.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 things that sucked about retro gaming.
Think you're ready for it? One of the roughest video games around for your Atari game system?
For this list, we're looking at those things that, frankly, kinda sucked about retro gaming. These flaws include anything from the games themselves to their marketing to their setups. As long as it was a significant factor in gaming at the time, it's eligible for critique.
That's brilliant, right? You and your friends are dead. Game over.
Number 10, irrelevant commercials.
Awesome sound, awesome pictures, awesome choices.
CDI, tell a friend.
In today's age, game commercials are practically an art form in and of themselves. The production quality is outstanding, they're exciting, and most importantly, they often show actual gameplay footage to let you know what you're getting into. Back in the day, however, you'd practically be going in blind, as the commercials certainly didn't provide any help.
Sega Genesis is 16 bits, 3DO is 32 bits, the Atari Jaguar is 64 bits. Which is more advanced? Clifford!
They often included overly enthusiastic announcers, corny songs, and little to no mention about what the game is actually about or how it plays. Sure, they were kinda entertaining, but they definitely failed as informative game commercials.
60 more levels, massive enemies, huge Yoshi tricks, all served up with the latest graphic technology, Morph Nation.
No more.
Number 9, early 3D. There was a time when 3D was the new and exciting addition to video games. You could fly planes around in 3 dimensions or move the camera as well as your character. Put simply, it was revolutionary. However, that doesn't detract from the fact that early 3D, at least on consoles, was atrocious. While PC games had comfortably entered the realm of 3D graphics thanks to powerful video cards, the consoles of the mid-90s struggled hard to maintain a balance between frame rate, graphical fidelity, and enjoyable gameplay. Then again, if you go back to the earliest forms of 3D visuals on the PC and Amiga, you find the same problems the console suffered. Awful graphics moving at an awful frame rate. Number 8, early copy production.
The Colonel's Bequest was one of these, which came with a unique red-lensed magnifying glass that was used to search the game map for hidden fingerprints.
In order to prevent theft, some early PC video games throughout the 80s and 90s came with very annoying forms of copy protection.
Not to mention, you had to decipher a code by deciphering a table to get to the deciphered game entry code, which just sucks.
These forms of protection required the player to have the original packaging that the game came in, as the answers to the game's protection hints or codes were usually found in the manual or box.
You see, these guys didn't want you just copying the copy protection page. They made it so that you had to copy a ton of pages.
However, developers started to get more cryptic with their copy protection methods, be it with code wheels, such as the one found on the Secret of Monkey Islands box, or the lens lock, a rather unreliable lens with prisms inside that didn't work on certain monitors that were either too big or too small.
What you had to do was put the lens lock up to the screen and move your head into just the right position to see the code deciphered through the prisms.
Number 7, bad translations. Japanese games were as popular back in the day as they are today. However, the difference between now and then is not the quality of the games, but the quality of the writing.
All your base are belong to us.
Japanese developers often didn't have the time or the money to perfectly translate their games for Western audiences, and as a result, we were treated to some god-awful scripts.
How you handle the beginning is everything. Good luck.
Sure, the lines didn't make a lick of sense, and the stories often suffered as a result, but damn were they fun to spot and laugh at. Number 6, arcade-style difficulty. Because home console games were often inspired by or direct ports of arcade games, this affected the difficulty curve. Often, games were difficult to the point of being unfair, and this can be blamed on 2 things. First, they were often very short, thus the difficulty was there to artificially extend the life of the games. Also, the arcade mentality of trying to kill the player to get more quarters out of them still persisted at home. Hey man, I spent a lot of quarters to buy this console. You can chill with the difficulty, bro. Number 5, no online guides. In today's age of instant online access, tricky sections of video games are as easy as booting up Google and seeking help, or a quick tutorial search on YouTube. Unfortunately for gamers back in the day, no such gratification was granted. Sure, there were strategy guides and various walkthroughs in magazines, but that required purchasing the guide, flipping through it, reading what you're supposed to do, and trying it out for yourself, which was often difficult due to the cryptic game design of the time. It's now much easier to simply hop on YouTube and check it out firsthand. Back then, if you were stuck, chances are you might stay stuck forever.
I'm lost in the Dinky Island jungle in Monkey 2.
Look, there are only 2 ways out of the room you're in. Figure it out, knucklehead.
Number 4, no patches. In today's gaming landscape, patches are extremely necessary. Not only does it seem like every game that comes out today is released broken and buggy, but patches are often used to fix certain issues in-game, or help improve it in some meaningful way. While many see this as a crutch that lazy developers and publishers lean on, this is still better than the opposite, because unfortunately for retro games, there was no such thing. If a game was shipped broken or glitchy, which did happen, then the player was stuck with that glitchy mess of a game which they just spent their hard-earned money on. PC games started to bring in patches in the mid-90s, but have fun downloading each and every update in the order they were released on your 56K modem. Number 3, gaming was much more expensive.
Will you be the one to experience the Nintendo Entertainment System? Comes with Rob, Zapper, Control Deck, 2 controllers, Gyromite, and Duck Hunt.
While it seems like video gaming today is an expensive hobby, it's nothing compared to the costs of the older generations at the time.
It comes with 27 games, but that's just for starters.
For example, the Atari 2600, which was released in 1977, had a launch price of $199, which, when adjusted for inflation, would be around $780 in 2016.
Mine! No, George. Mine.
The original NES launched in 1985, and its cheapest launch bundle also went for $199, about $440 today, indicating a downward yet still pretty pricey trajectory.
The one to play with Rob, the extraordinary video robot, batteries not included.
Some more examples for you. Street Fighter II Turbo on SNES retailed for $75 plus tax. Strider on the Genesis retailed for $80, while Phantasy Star 4 on the Genesis was $100. And don't even get me started on the Neo Geo.
You win!
Number 2, no saving. Think about this. If you wanted to, say, beat Super Mario Bros. 3 without using warps, you had to do it all in one sitting. While it's true that some video games in the 80s employed what was called password saving, that was extremely flawed. Not only were the passwords often long and complex, but they had to be written down, meaning they could easily be lost, smudged, or written incorrectly.
Is it really necessary to have both capital and lowercase letters, as well as numbers, question marks, and exclamation marks too?
Eventually, games started to include battery backup saving, first seen in The Legend of Zelda on NES, allowing players to save their progress, until the battery died. This also fed into the problem we discussed earlier, apropos to difficulty and the short length of the games. Fun stuff. Before we look at our most annoying pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
If your system's ever not working, you probably know by this point that's the first thing to check. Push it to channel 3 to make it simple on yourself.
Number 1, no online resources to warn us of bad games. Anyone who follows gaming these days knows that there are very few surprises after you bought something. Today you can simply hop on Metacritic and see the numerical value to get a quick assumption of the game's quality, or read the 50+ aggregated reviews.
If you thought I was serious about this game, you're absolutely right, because I was just kidding.
Back in the day though, there was no such thing. There were reviews in magazines, but again, that required actually buying the magazine and listening to one critic's opinion. If you missed the issue where they discussed that game, TS. So, it was either that or word of mouth, which was rather limited. You mainly just had to buy your $50 game and hope for the best. Usually, this involved judging a game by its cover. Not exactly a surefire strategy. Do you agree with our list?
I love it. It's just great.
What annoyed you about retro gaming? For more critical top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Do you have any idea how many calls I get a day about that? Don't ask me about it again.